Hi, my name is Megan Brazas, and I'm the creator and developer of the Core Vocabulary Exchange System, or CVES. Today I'd like to spend some time talking with you about the history of CVES, about its background and development, as well as its component parts and pieces. So to give you a little information about myself, I'm a speech-language pathologist, and my background is in working with kids with complex communication needs. In the past, I've worked at a therapeutic day school setting as well as educational life skills setting. And again, my background is working with children, infants, all the way to young adults with complex and profound communication needs and disabilities. And in working with the kids in both of these settings, I noticed that many of my students were developing splinter communication skills. And what I mean by that is a lot of my students were able to communicate a couple of different communicative functions, such as a request or a label, but they didn't develop other functional communication skills. As an example, I had students who were able to make a request for a preferred food, such as, "I want cookies." So they'd be able to say, "I want cookies," over and over again. Or they might be able to label or comment about the cookie. "Cookie, I see cookie." However, moving beyond these two forms of communicative functions, my students had difficulties. They weren't able to protest appropriately, "Don't want cookie," or "Stop cookie," or indicate cessation, being done with a cookie. "I all done cookie," "I am all done," or "Cookies all done." They weren't able to ask about the cookies, "More cookie?" Or ask where the cookies were, "Where cookie?" Or ask questions about if they're going to eat cookies for the day. "Eat cookie?" "Eat cookie today?" So a lot of my kids developed these splinter communication skills. And so whether they were using low-tech systems or high-tech devices, they were lacking in these functional communication skills as well as understanding the reciprocity of language, meaning that communication happens between a communication partner and a receiver, but also there's a communication loop where that child may also take the role of speaker and communication partner. So what I mean by that is, if a child makes a request for something, "Give me cookies," they're also going to be able to understand language when being spoken to by a communication partner. "Here are cookies," or "Here are your cookies," and they can take both roles. So over time, I began to incorporate the concepts of core vocabulary, providing a robust vocabulary system with the concept of exchanging core vocabulary pictures. Previously, I had used static communication boards where students would point to systems or point to pictures on their system. That was not effective in creating that two-way exchange of information, or my students lacked communicative intent. They may tap or repeatedly point to an icon on a board but didn't exchange information across to somebody else. So I decided to integrate the concepts of core vocabulary and exchange into one system, which is what we're going to talk about here today. So over time, I did create CVES as an interactive communication board, and CVES is designed to be a low-tech exchange-based communication system that's designed to be a low-tech AAC system as well as a language teaching tool. So this may be a standalone AAC system dedicated to a child, or it may be used as a language teaching tool for kids that have some verbal speech. It can also be used in a group setting to teach language and expressive language as well as grammar and syntax. So this system is designed to be a multisensory interactive tool in AAC system. CVES is designed to be a system that transitions a child to verbal speech with extensive use. So repeated use and opportunities using the system may lead to verbal speech, but it can also act as a bridge or transition tool to a communication device. So the layout of the system itself and the way that is organized based upon the Fitzgerald color coding key, as well as the layout of the pronouns, the action words, the location words, and the descriptors, lends itself as a transition tool to a communication device and transitioning a child from the system to a high-tech device. The system itself has different purposes. So one of the most important purposes is to create a two-way exchange of information between a communication partner and an individual. This essentially means that a child who's using the system can take both the role of communication partner as well as listener. So I may initiate an interaction with a child, they may respond to me using their system, or they may initiate using the system and I could respond to them. And essentially we create a communication loop. We may end up completing multiple exchanges on the same topic, so it may extend to several exchanges using their system. The second most important piece of CVES is to teach SNUG, or spontaneous novel utterance generation. So we want a child to be able to say whatever they want to say whenever they want to say it. That means using single words, two-word combinations, three-word combinations, etc., and working across grammar structures as well, grammar and syntax structures. The next area is we want to focus on increasing the frequency and the use of functions of communication. So there's a lot of different reasons we use language. Aside from a request or comment, we use language to direct others. We use language to ask for help or assistance. We use language to indicate when we're done with something or cessation. We use language to protest or reject something when we don't want it. We use language to comment. We use language to tease. We use language to request for things or people or activities that we want. So there's a lot of different functions of language, and the purpose of CVES is to start a child working on multiple functions of language at the same time. The next area to discuss that is important to CVES is aided language input. So we want to be talking to the child using the icons in their system, which is going to help them pair speech with the meaning of the icon. So if we're giving them receptive input, there's more likely they're going to use their system expressively with us. The next area is behavioral regulation. So with CVES, we are targeting different functions of language to assist with behavioral regulation. And those top 4 functions are requesting, indicating cessation, requesting for assistance, and protesting or rejecting. The next area of importance is the motor automaticity component of CVES. So just as in a high-tech device, when we're talking about a low-tech communication system, there should be a consistent motor plan for icons in a child's system. So with CVES, the icons are removable and returnable to the same location, and this helps with the motor component, the motor plan, as well as the convergence of language to help create motor automaticity for each word. And finally, by using CVES, we're trying to facilitate both expressive and receptive joint attention. So we are working on increasing joint attention and increasing eye gaze referencing between icons and the communication partner, or between a preferred object, an icon, and a communication partner. And so those are some of the purposes of CVES and the areas that CVES supports.